I would now like to invite Thor-Erik. Where is Thor-Erik? Here. Well, welcome, Thor-Erik. Thor-Erik is a leading authority and internationally recognized expert in mentoring, also known as the Mentorguru. He actually hosts the one podcast that is called The Talk by Mentorguru, and is here today to facilitate a live podcast on entrepreneurship, mentoring and technology, or mentoring and entrepreneurship and technology. All small issues, tiny bits we'll be talking about. He's known for his engaging workshops, for provoking keynotes, and his signature blend of insight, humor, and practical tools that inspire individuals and organizations alike. He is also the author of a Mentee book and a mentor book, two practical guides on entrepreneurship and mentoring. Thank you very much for being here with us.
Thank you. When you write this, you never thought you were standing beside you when you were reading it. We are doing a live podcast. So this is both sound and video. So it will be put out also afterwards. I have a panel with me of 3 people. We have 3 themes, and between every theme, we will have some audience activity. But we are quite strict on time. So you have 1 minute or so, discuss one-on-one, 2 or 2, and then we have actually a ball we are throwing out with a microphone inside. So you can say, we thought about this when you asked this, and we managed to take 1 or 2, and then we go to the next theme. For you online, this will be breakout rooms, so you can do the same. I'm not going to throw a microphone to you, but maybe they can write some in the chat. Yeah. I think we just start. Are you ready? Yes. So it doesn't matter if you're clapping or saying hi or something while we are talking. That's okay for us. So please, Reena, Daniela, and Andrey. You have to go there and take the microphone. Just a bit setup. Works? Looks like it does. Hello.
Sento che... Aiuto. Funziona.
Hallo. Ja. Are you ready? Okay then. You are all mentors here, and the real question today is, what does our profession look like in a world where entrepreneurship, technology, and human development are so deeply intertwined? I need a... for the PowerPoints. Is it there? Yeah. Yes. This is our map today. It's the three forces that are often discussed separately, but the real magic happens when they come together in the middle as an ecosystem for change. So, we need an introduction. So, Daniela, tell me, how have you been the person you are today?
Yeah. A wonderful question. I don't know. I really don't know. Also because I always becoming something different. But I changed my professional path 10 years ago, and I started the new one with a startup competition. And I proposed to Bocconi for a competition two different ideas. One was for a platform for family caregiver. And the other one was for a project for create a platform for mentoring, for managing mentoring in organization. And this one won the competition. And so my professional street was directed by Bocconi. And after that, I started passionate about mentoring, studying mentoring with Matteo Perchiazzi of Scuola Italiana di Mentoring, and worked with him, and we maintain the same mission of my startup, that is accompany our organization through put the skills that they have in it to more value, because I started from that idea. The principal asset of one organization is the people competencies, and they don't use it.
Thank you. Reena, how have you become the person you are today?
I'll try to keep it very short. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. It's a privilege to be here. So I'll try to keep it as short as possible. If I look back, what has shaped me are the people and the experiences. I grew up in India, and I'll try to explain. Mentoring came left, right, and center when you grow up in India. So everyone, aunties, uncles, even the shopkeeper will give you life tips. And that's where I think I learned, my love for mentoring. The real skill there was to really discern from what is the wisdom from the noise. And I began my career in technology. I was there for about 10 years, but my real true energy was about how people grow and why they grow and how can I help them grow. So that curiosity of mine led me to psychology, to coaching, and to mentoring. And if there's one thing I've learned along the way is that change is the only constant, and I want to, and I do help people as a mentor navigate change in a world where stress is often here and trust levels are here. So that's about me.
Thank you. Andrey, the same question to you.
Yes, we discussed today already how mentoring is going to change in the future. So this is one example. We start with reflective questions, not end with reflective questions. So for me, it's I think I'm a curious problem solver, and that's how my life was shaped in a sense. I was in parallel building my business and going through my academic studies. In 2013, I exited my fintech company and started doing angel investments. And quite soon I understood that the key for startup founders to succeed is mentoring. I started mentoring companies in my portfolio, then founders of very different companies, helping them to shape their hard skills, transferring soft skills that they missed. In my world, it's not a bug, it's a feature. Normally, startup founders come either from either students or academics or people from corporate world. So they just didn't have a reasonable chance to get those soft skills that they need to succeed in that new venture. And by mentoring, they bridge this gap. And this is why I'm here today.
And for me, it's a bit about the same. It's all the people you have met who make some impression on you. But I found out that over time, it's about not about finding yourself, but it's about creating yourself. So creating what you want it to be. So that's what I'm doing when I'm talking with people and I'm trying to learn people different things. It's about me creating myself. But okay, we will start with the first topic, which is mentoring as a catalyst. So we begin with mentoring itself. Beyond being a practice, mentoring is often the invisible catalyst for individuals to grow, for organizations to change, and for startups to succeed. And Andrey, you researched and invested in hundreds of founders and companies. How has mentoring changed the ability to grow and scale?
This is the question that cost me 4 years of my life while I was writing my thesis, and hopefully I found an answer. And I had to start with actually what mentoring is, because again, in the world of startup mentoring, there is a very prominent problem of mentoring inflation, as they call it. So people call mentoring very, very different things. My favorite one, yesterday I had a 15-minute mentoring session with a startup founder. Like, what did you have? Actually. And that was one of the things I had to adjust to doing the research, that mentoring is mid to long-term iterative engagement. It can't be done like in one session, in 2 sessions. It's really a relationship. And if you look through this lens, when you do this mentoring properly, so that happens as more or less on the same other activity. You see a founder who struggles with something. And one of the questions in the research was not how mentoring improves the person, but how mentoring impacts the venture, the business, which this person does. And I had to do a systematic literature review when I started doing this research. I was reasonably certain I'll find a lot of papers. Ended up with 34 over the last 25 years. Third of them great literature.
But with that, did you, from an investor's perspective, see the increase of the startup's value when they get a mentor?
Not a value per se, it's survivability and chances to succeed. Actually, what we see is that proper mentoring accelerates startup progress and helps them evade obvious mistakes. That's another analogy I use quite often. It's kind of teaching somebody playing chess. First, they need to know how figures move, what's allowed, what's disallowed. And then within the subset of allowed moves, how to identify moves that are better in this position. And if you work like that, systematically, they avoid very grave mistakes that would cost them not only money, but the most crucial resource, which is time.
And now we are going into one of the most complex environments. Daniela, you have been working in public administration. How can mentoring keep people grounded in digital transformation?
The problem of digital transformation is that it doesn't come alone, because digital transformation impacts on people, and create a sense of fear or of excitement. It's quite different. There are people so excited. But the problem is that most of people have fear of lost importance in the organization and to be substituted by others. And so it's necessary to make understand that technology is only a tool, and they have to use it for it. And we can do it only using mentoring program, because the human connection that the mentoring program create help people understand how to use it, technology. We saw it with a project that we are running with Scuola Italiana di Mentoring, with a big public administration organization that we created 2 different lines of mentoring in the same time, one traditional mentoring and the other one of reverse. And it was incredible, the application we have from the reverse mentee. And so that was astonishing also for the HR. And that's why, because of the fear that technology have with it. And but the results of these 2 programs is that with mentoring we have created bridges between generation in the middle of the organization, and modernize it, maintaining more human than ever. And only thing, then I let you the word. I want to recap the situation of this morning with the mentee. The mentee, her mentor, is always the same in each program we run. When we make follow-up with our mentor and mentee, there is the love in their eye. They talk about my mentor with a love around, a heart around my. That's incredible.
Yeah, because it feels like people are scared of the human support will go away.
Yeah, they are overwhelmed by technology. They are stressed by technology, and they lose connection. They lose the purpose. The purpose, and so.
And Reena, that brings us to you, because you bring the psychological and human lens into this. And how does mentoring provide safety and purpose for individuals under pressure to change?
You know, I often joke about that the human brain is like a loyal pet. It is always trying to protect you, even when you don't need any protecting. So that's where mentoring comes in handy. It helps to rewire that instinct so that change feels less like a threat and more like an opportunity. Our brains are wired to ease comfort, to go towards comfort, and that's why we always cling to the familiar. There was somebody I worked with. He got promoted to a very senior leadership role, but he still wanted to do all the technical work himself because that felt safe. Through mentoring, we unpacked that delegating and trusting his team can be a new normal for him. I really like the analogy of tennis. If you see, even the best players in tennis, they only win half a point. And why is that? Why are they champions? They're only champions because it's their ability to reset after every single shot. And that is what mentoring does to me. It resets the mindset.
You are within neuroscience, and what in neuroscience are you using in your mentoring conversations?
Oh, a lot, actually. It's going to be a little long answer, I have to say. So the human brain our brains are not there to get us. They just need better instructions, and that is why neuroscience helps a lot. The first point is clarity. When you're clear about what you want and why, then it activates the prefrontal cortex of your brain, and that is like the GPS of your brain. Once it knows where it's going, it will really charter the path for you very clearly. And things like really writing the goals down to the detail. The second point I would say is self-belief. Confidence is really wired in our brains, and thanks to neuroplasticity, we can rewire it. Things like just affirmations or recording and replaying, that works. Gratitude is another one. It activates the dopamine system of the brain, so it's literally, it will train your brain to scan for the positive or to really scan for the positive. And my final one is, I'm trying to thinking about time, the reticular activating system, which is the RAS. That's the filter of your brain. So have you ever noticed that you set your eyes on a goal and then suddenly everything aligns? For example, in daily life, you wanted to buy a new red car, and suddenly you spot only red cars on the street. Why is that happening? That's RAS in action. And I'll give a real-life example to finish. Katy Perry, I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with her. At age 9, she did a vision board on which she put herself receiving a Grammy. 15 years later, she was nominated for one. That is neuroscience in action. This is not a joke.
Wow, that must be the best tip during this. And now you have to do some work as well, because now it's the audience activity. I have a question that I want you to discuss one-on-one or two-on-two. You can decide yourself. And then afterward, we are throwing out so one or two of you can tell us what you were talking about. And the question is, think of a time when mentoring gave either you or your mentee a sense of stability in uncertain times. What was the turning point? Did everyone understand? May I take it one more time? Yes. Think of a time when mentoring gave either you or your mentee a sense of stability in uncertain times. What was the turning point? One-on-one or two-on-two? Yeah? No, I come to you. Okay, everyone. Now it's 2 minutes. So I'm sorry, we have to stop. And for you online, if you can write down in the chat what you have been talking about, then we will get it up on the screen a bit later. Hello. Hi. Hi. Who wants to try to tell a bit? Okay. Sorry for you in front.
And our own self-belief that mentoring is the absolute answer to everything, when the reality is many organizations are not doing mentoring. Why is that the case?
And I'll just spice it up.
Please.
If this assumption is correct, and we are all now building up something that is not yet resonating, how can we discuss that?
Another one? Next one? Or I just throw it to the table? No? Okay, can we have up from the... Now we will see if they have been writing down something online. Bye, hope to see you soon, Simonetta. Safe space, broadening perspective, reframing, putting thoughts in order. Yeah. We are moving on. Do you want to say something? Yes, Daniela?
One moment to answer to the questions, because I agree with him. I totally agree with him. I think that the problem is that I speak for Italian enterprises, not for international, but because there they knew mentoring, they use it, a different mentoring from our school, but mentoring. I think that the problem is that they don't knew mentoring methodology. They don't really knew, and the difference with coaching and something else. And so it will be, this is a provocation, an idea for EMCC to make a deep research of the project we are going on, keep a report to make new to the other ones that it function. Because if you can enter in an enterprise and make what in Italy call a pilot with 10 couples, that it isn't a pilot, it's a pity. Scusate, sono fatta così. You can demonstrate that it functions.
I think we can say that mentoring is one of the best kept secret. So we need to go out and tell people in our countries that mentoring is the key to a lot of things. So we are now transitioning to the next topic. And I will say that mentoring doesn't happen in a vacuum. It happens in the middle of change, entrepreneurial risk, organizational transformation, and new markets. And that's where our second theme begins, entrepreneurship and transformation as arenas for learning. And they are not just business terms, they are arenas for learning. And mentors are the guides who help people make sense of risk, resistance, and growth. And now we're going to you again, Daniela. Digital transformation in the public sector is full of complexity. How can mentoring support leaders navigating bureaucracy and large-scale change?
I think I think that the issue is about the kind of skills that a mentee and a mentor too can improve during a mentoring relationship. I want to say that we are all able to study technical skills, also if we aren't too in love with it. But all the soft skill and overall a quite of skills that are becoming more and more important in the enterprises, that is political acumen, aren't learnable at school or with the tools that new generation use to learn today, YouTube, video, and things like that. And to have a mentor with his experience sit in front of you is really different to ask to ChatGPT how can negotiate, how can have this trick, something like that. And that's the real questions, the real matter. Mentoring in complexity, learn to mentor and mentee to become well-rounded leaders.
And you have a principle called once only. Do you know what once only is? Once only is that you deliver the same info only once.
Yeah, it's not quite my principle, it's the principle of Dipartimento Trasformazione Digitale del Consiglio dei Ministri. Comunque.
And it's about reducing friction.
It means that finally, public administration have decided that the citizen is at the center of the life. Is not the contrary, how we knew in Italy has been till now. And so the citizen is like a client, an important client for public administration, and with the digital transformation that is making a connection between all the information of the society for the public administration, EMCC, something like that. The rules is to ask the information to the citizen once only, because you can catch it from the other administration. And that's the idea is to reduce bureaucracy, reduce the friction with the citizen. And we asked how we can translate this idea also in the mentoring part. Surely, making the mentee at the center of the relation. We knew that mentoring relationship is a mutual relation. All the parts grew in a relationship, but all starts from the mentee needs.
But Andrey, going from the public sector to the startups and capital risks and everything, where do you see founders most in need of mentoring, and where do they resist it?
Founders need mentoring mostly when they just begin. Because, as I said initially, they simply lack the soft skills which will enable them to be successful. And one of the questions that I often receive is like, how you measure if your mentoring was successful? Yeah, it's easy. When they don't need me any longer, then it was a smashing success. And another option is when they decided that they don't want to do what they wanted to do. And it's also a great, actually, result, because they saved a few years of unnecessary pain and suffering.
But when you research, you often have an idea of the outcome. Was it something when you researched about mentoring for entrepreneurs that put you aside, that you didn't know about?
You know, it was kind of, as I say, a gut feeling that mentoring is good. But again, when you start reading literature, you understand that, again, there's a mentoring paradox by Ziegler and others. It's maybe good, it's maybe bad, it may be neutral. Then again, you start digging, you understand that people compare apples to oranges, like a mentoring which is mentoring with mentoring which is not, but they call it this way. And finally, you come to an understanding that you can actually help almost everyone who is doing that for the first time, especially for the first time, because you can show them the way, just steer them into this subset of better choices. And this is how it effectively works. Then when they grow out of mentoring relationship, you can stay as an advisor, as consultant, as a friend, as whoever. Not mentor any longer, you did your job.
Do you, Reena, see some of the same, because you are in the finance and tech world? Do you see some of the same that mentoring helped them balance people and results, for example?
Yeah, of course. One of my clients once said, Reena, I don't have any time for feelings. I have quarterly targets. I gently smiled and said, that's exactly why we need to talk about feelings. Because in finance and tech, the pressure to perform is so huge that it's very easy to for the people to fall behind the numbers. And mentoring really helps rebalance that in leaders, where they can see that success comes through people and not despite them.
I think maybe that is one of the key issues to talk about, because often we see that, no, it's not value in mentoring. It doesn't give any money. It's just paying. So it's maybe like that.
Yeah, and there's also something called perception in action. I would like to talk about that. It's amazingly bizarre, or bizarrely amazing, whichever way is correct, that how many times I hear this among leaders where they say, I didn't do that, I never meant that, I never projected that. And yet, by that point, perception has like already written the story and what awareness could have prevented. So the truth is, perception moves faster than intention. And if you are aware, you could avoid that. So mentoring really helps in those areas.
And now, people, we are again in an audience activity. Maybe try to talk with others, but it's not prohibited to talk with the same person. And the question now is as follows. In your own mentoring practice, what's the biggest challenge you've faced when guiding someone through change? Was it skills, mindset, or structure? I'll read it one more time. In your own mentoring practice, what's the biggest challenge you faced when guiding someone through change? Was it skills, mindset, or structure? Okay? Put that in. Hello. Yeah. Okay then. Now we have to try to stop. And for you online, now it's time to write down what you have been talking about. You were a bit late last time, so we didn't see that many. But now we are trying to get people in the audience to stop. And who wants... Talk into this. You can start, please.
It looks like I've been unfairly nominated.
Yes.
I was suggesting that it was about mindset, and in making the point, I referenced the illustration that's often used around diversity of a fence, and a tall person can see over the fence, somebody who's not quite so tall standing on a box to see over the fence, somebody who is even shorter standing on two boxes, but the problem actually isn't their height, it's the fence. You just tear the fence down.
Fantastic.
The answer is the fence.
The fence.
Because usually those structures are constructed within the organization, and then mentors are asked for to support people to see over the fence that they themselves have created in the first place.
We have time for another one.
Hello.
Hello.
Is it okay if I just share what we talked about? Greta was just talking about, in her experience, the most common challenge is to do with mindset. But I asked about, what does that compose of? And it's typically related to her clients having issues with confidence and self-worth about whether they were capable of doing a job or something. And usually they were capable, but they didn't have the confidence. But then we were talking about how do you correct for that? And we came to the conclusion that when people register they have the capacity to do something, then they start believing that they are capable. And then that actually lifts their confidence. So that three-way relationship was, critical to curate in order for that client to move forwards and have the confidence to actually engage the capability they already have and not have imposter syndrome about it, I guess. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so happy that we are recording this because it's so much good tip here, so we can listen and listen again.
Yeah, it's an interesting trinity, those three things. What were they again? Confidence, capacity, and capability.
How long do you think you can throw this?
I've got big arms. Let's see. Let's see. Who's got a question?
Anyone in the back?
Okay, let's see.
Ooh!
I coach goalkeepers, by the way, so that's a good one. I work for the next World Cup. We had a similar discussion here, and I think mindset was one that popped up. But then for me as a coach, which has never really done that much of mentorship, this is really exciting because there's a lot of aha feelings this morning and this afternoon. But then we flipped it and said, that's how the mentor sees it. But what about the mentee? And then you brought the fence thing, which is totally what multinationals and a lot of great companies do, that they create mentorship programs that go down the drain because they're achieving something for the HR department, right? So from a mentee's perspective, I think they see skill as something that they look into a mentor. He's gone through or she's gone through the same path, they've walked the talk, and then comes the structure. Is it structured? What are you trying to achieve and how? Where the mindset comes to the third place, but in reality, when you drop the fence, I think it all comes to a reality that mindset has to be the right one, but it has to be right from both sides. And I don't think it's easy. I think it's a very gray area, and I think mentorship definitely has a big impact, because if we think about what we discussed now, how great mentors look like. And, you talk about Aristotle and you talk about, well, the coaching side says they were the first coaches. And then I heard today that they were the first mentors. So everyone's grabbing those names for themselves. But I think, nevertheless, mindset always stays at top, because that is what makes or breaks a great mentorship program. Thank you.
Do you think you can manage to throw it over here?
I can. Yeah, I can.
Stand up.
I'll do it. I don't know. Ready? All right.
Wow!
And I'm not a good catcher. So thank you for the question, but it was not a fair question, because you addressed it with structure, which is an outer aspect, skills and mindset, which are somehow inner aspects. Skills, eventually, it's inner and outer at one point. The idea is that everything starts with the need. So if the mentee or the mentor does not see the need, the mentor program has no value. So if we do not, and we are not capable of identifying the need or creating the need, then it will be very difficult for us to create the will and the presence in the program for both parties. And then we can speak about mindset, skills, and structures.
Good and fair point. Thank you. What we see is that mentoring are working across different levels, from individual growth to organizational change to market success. And yet there's a force accelerating all of this faster than ever before, and that's technology. And that's where we are jumping into now in the end, which brings us also to technology, which is, oh, sorry, I forgot the online. We have been getting the online people to write down. And Julia said that my group mostly agreed on the mindset at the main challenge, but also skills is needed by mentoring clients and mentees. Value for the group, different perspectives which are enriching our reflections and learnings. So it's also a lot of good things coming from online. Thank you for that. But we are going into technology, which is kind of maybe the elephant in the room. How is AI, and what is AI doing, and what can it do, and how is our job going to be, etc., etc. Technology and AI are no longer just tools in the background. They are actually shaping how we connect, decide, and even how we mentor. But the question is, are they friends or enemies for mentors? So Reena, as a psychologist, what is it that technology will never be able to replace in human development?
That's a question, I think, on most people's minds these days. That's the common topic of conversation. And honestly speaking, I think only time will give us the full answer. What I can say right now is technology can replace intelligence, replicate intelligence, but not instinct. There are certain brain functions which are uniquely human. For example, those instinctive, emotional responses that has no logic, no repetition, and no algorithm. They're just spontaneous, intuitive, and deeply, deeply personal. And I think those things are the things technology simply can't emulate, at least not right now. Take something like hiring for a new senior role. What AI will do for you is it will scan you 1,000 CVs in like very short time and will give you the person who looks great on paper. But what it will not be able to tell you is who will stand in a tough situation, who will be able to inspire someone when everything goes rough. That's where you need, human empathy, lived experiences, and gut instinct. AI can empathize with you, it can mimic empathy, but can it feel it? Like someone was like, I and you were discussing last evening that someone is trying to flirt with the AI. It can surely flirt with you, you can write you a love letter, but can it feel a thing about it? That's really the heart of the matter. We need to understand what, as humans, we have.
Yeah, because my next question was, how can we as mentors double down on empathy and purpose in this tech-driven world?
What I would say is technology can measure how fast we are moving, but can it really measure or tell you why we started running in the first place, or why we started something? And that is where human empathy and purpose comes in. Those are our human superpowers in this day and age. I'll give you an example of Indira Nooyi. She was the former CEO of PepsiCo. What she used to do is she used to write letters, empathetic letters, to the parents of her executive team, thanking them that you've raised such great leaders. What it did for her company is like it built enormous trust and loyalty. That is empathy, really empathetic action. And if you see, it didn't slow her down. It just strengthened her company even more. So.
And you, Daniela, you have led digital products where it's system risks overshadowing people. How can you make sure that technology stays as a servant and not as a master?
I think that on the mentor side, I'll start. As a mentor, I think that we have to use technology as tools that help us to run our program with our mentee, facilitate it, but don't have fear to be overwhelmed now from AI, for example, because AI has now an approach that can substitute the human approach. Now, I repeat. On the side of a project manager, I think that technology is a fantastic tool to run better the program and answer to the questions we have before. Because if you have a software well done, you can follow a lot of KPI of your program and demonstrate the ROI and the results of your project to the stakeholder.
And Andrey, you said that AI can give mentors sharper insights. Can you share an example where tech actually helped you see something earlier or clearer?
Sure, and the part of that answer I stand outside of the door, frankly speaking, full disclosure. But it's an interesting question. My esteemed colleague for Research Center of Excellence, Jazz, a few days ago facilitated a very interesting webinar on the research of Professor Niki Terblanche and the team about is the AI-enabled chatbots following specific models are worse or better or equal to the coaches, to the human coaches. And they came to a surprising conclusion that they are as good as coaches, which is for me initially it was kind of not logical for me, because we live in the era of generative AI, not of artificial general AI or superintelligence. So they think is kind of still more stupid than we are. It's a very sophisticated database statistical algorithm, which knows how to find data and how to process data. But again, I'll switch to a question in the next sentence. How do you know that AI hallucinates? No, we all say it hallucinates. How do you know that? Because humans know that it hallucinates. AI doesn't. It's just a tool so far. But if you know how to use it, and you can process the conversations with your mentees using trained models, which actually what we are trying now, it's very powerful. It's very powerful because the data set it has access to and capacity to use data supersedes human brain, like I don't know for how many zeros are there. But then you work with that. You don't accept it, as a final truth, because again, my students quite often see AI as ancient Greeks saw an oracle. They come, ask a question, get an answer, take an answer, and act on that, not asking further questions, like oracle spoken. And that's what I tell them, don't do that. It's not. But it's a very big help. So you see that it finds patterns in conversation that you did not see. It finds data in conversation that you did not notice. It shows you how you use models, even if you did not notice that you use models. It checks your ethical approach, if it's properly trained, and gives you a hint that maybe you kind of either overstepped a boundary or stayed within the boundaries. So in a sense, it's already a supervisor for you or a colleague for you. And as it grows, as it becomes more and more complex and strong, it will become a full-fledged colleague, nothing less. Today it's an assistant. Tomorrow it's a colleague. Maybe the day after tomorrow we're assistants, but we'll see about that.
But I have a question. You have been talking a bit on it, both of you, but when it comes to AI, where is the line? What will AI never be able to do?
Today it's not sentient, right? It's a logical algorithm, not sentient. Probably it will become one. Because again, if we speak about artificial general intelligence, it's on par with a human. And it's your colleague. If we speak about superintelligence, it's more powerful than a human. What's emotion? What's intuition? Again, it's a lot of conversations, much better than myself. But intuition for me, it's just your personal database. Again, how your reptilian brain processes signal that you receive. But now I am passing the mic to a person who knows much more about that.
Intuition for me is those really deep networks inside us, which has shaped us. Something happened during your childhood, and it's somewhere down the, really deep inside your mind, and it just comes up when something familiar crops up, and you can really sharpen it with lots of practices which we spoke about. And yeah, that's about intuition is just already there. The wisdom, it's already there. It's somewhere there. You don't know how to, it's locked, if that makes any sense. And through different practices, you can unlock it.
How many of you out here now is using AI actively? It's quite many. How many of us with a digital companion? I think you need this, Teresa.
I'm really curious about this. How many of you has a digital companion? Like you have your personalized, I don't know, you use maybe replica or character AI, or your ChatGPT so much prompted that it really kind of recognizes you and it is you, like overall. How many of you have such a digital companion? Okay. So I will be curious to ask the same question next year. There's an amazing article by Harvard. They analyzed 6 digital companions, and they find out what emotional manipulations they do when you want to stop the conversation. I'm going to share it in the group. Amazing. Amazing.
Can you...
How many of us are actually avatars sitting here?
It will come. That was the question I asked in Dublin, so long time ago. Didn't arrive yet.
Wait, we can throw it over, because I have one more question for the audience. What excites you the most of AI?
So, today, I am that what none of my ancestors was able to be. And I'm excelling. And I don't mean by excelling being better, but being that what none of humanity before me could be. And I'm aiming to expand it consciously. Anybody else? So I can scan any legal document and become a lawyer. I can go into any financial, tax, complicated issues and resolve it within seconds. I can scan so many medical issues and things and come closer to a question that I ask my doctor and help him help me. Yes, I can. And all of that within seconds. And I can cross-culturally and cross-knowledge within seconds and hand it to experts so that my conversation is different. Yes, I can.
Is that maybe that was also scaring? It scares us?
I'm feeling happy being this way. I don't know what you...
Just one point. Can you do that in a power cut?
In a what?
In a power cut. If we didn't have the internet, if we had no power, could you still do it?
Ah.
No, okay, I will... No, but I have become, by being that, connected to those human beings who can. Today, my network is 10 times bigger because not only do I collect the knowledge, but I use those experts who are there to speak their language. And I'm connected. So when the power cut goes, I need to find a car and I need to reach to those human beings. I'll think about that, Nicola.
So while I'm, yeah, one more.
Thank you. Well, I come back to the question, which is the difference between human being and, let's say, artificial, I don't like to call it intelligence, artificial knowledge.
Oh.
The big difference is the consciousness and free will that we have. Machines, they don't have. They have a huge knowledge, but if there is no outside, let's say, scope, they can do what as human beings we can do. That's the big, big difference that we have in our hands. And we have to avoid to, let's say, to reduce our humanity in the digital transformation, considering that we are like machines, like computer. We are not computer. If you accept this, let's say, this tricky situation, we lose. We are not machine. We are not personal computer. We have to use technology because it's an important enabler. I mean, I agree with you. I mean, now I can do some things in a few seconds instead of 1 month. Fantastic. But that's all.
But I think it's quite good that, to know that our generation, we are kind of skeptic because we have been living before AI. Mm-hmm. But the new generation now, they see it differently. And that's a bit scary.
The mentor on this subject is Mr. Fajin, is a scientist who invented these kind of things, and it works in the United States, but it's a person from Italy.
I think we stop now because of the time. I'm sorry, but we have actually one. I will come and get it. We have actually one last activity, and that's a bit the things we were talking about now. Because how do you see mentoring in your practice being influenced by entrepreneurship and technology over the next 5 years? how do you see mentoring, thank you, in your practice being influenced by entrepreneurship and technology over the next 5 years? You could talk one-on-one, two or two. 2 minutes. Yes. Mostly of the question I did now also is in the journal you have on the table, so you can also work a bit more with it afterwards. I will just wrap up in 3 small sentences because I know that the coffee is almost ready. So I will thank you all for having us on this live podcast. I will summarize with 3 takeaways. 1, mentoring is a catalyst for individuals, organizations, and startups, and we have to start. It's a lot of people talking. Please stop. Mentoring is a catalyst for individuals, organizations, and startups, as we have been talking about a lot today. Entrepreneurship and transformation are learning arenas, and mentors are the navigators. We can't forget that. Technology accelerates, but human wisdom gives direction. We have been talking about that also a lot today. And I wrote here, I want to say that because at the heart of every transformation, there's still a conversation, real, raw, and human, and growth still starts and ends with people. So thank you very much. Thank you, Daniela, Andrey, and Reena for being here. And you will also, everyone, get the link to where the podcast is out when it's out. Thank you.